Hello everyone, welcome back to our video. We are at Flinders Street Station, ready to take the Frankston Line to Frankston. It's quite a long journey and we got this Siemens train here. Velocity just pulling in there. Hello and welcome to the Frankston Line. I know this is only our second video in the Siemens train actually.
This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
These more extended announcements. And I actually filmed this video in two parts on two different Siemens, which you will notice by the seats actually, because they have different liveries on some of them, or whatever you want to call it, maquette. Some of them have this one, and I think this is the newer one, but they also, some other ones have just lots and lots of station names on them, which you'll see later in the video, which is very interesting. Because originally I wanted to film the Frankston Line as part of the day that I went all the way around Port Phillip Bay. We went down to Frankston, and then I wanted to take the Stony Point shuttle, which is a continuation of the line from Frankston with a diesel train to Stony Point only once every 2 hours, and then I'd go back to Frankston, take the bus to Sorrento, the ferry to Queenscliff, another bus to Geelong, and the V line back. But unfortunately I missed the train to connect to the correct Stony Point shuttle on that day by like 3 minutes, while everyone else who was with me was actually on it, so it was really bad. I tried to catch up to it with a V-line to Caulfield, which isn't really allowed. You're not allowed to get off there, and the guard on the V-line shouted at me. But I still just missed it. What the hell, workers on the track right there. Changing trains at Caulfield is so bad, like it's so sad that that's actually going to be the main interchange point for the metro tunnel as well. So then I just did the Stony Point on another day and continued with the plan around the Port Phillip on that day. But yeah, that means it's filmed in two separate parts. This bit to Caulfield and then down for the rest of the journey. So here we're just running to Richmond, where all the other lines go, and also the tram routes over there on the side, which go past all the sport precincts. Always so much shaking on the tracks leaving towards Richmond, so many crossovers. Tram route 70, that is, over there. And here we're passing the metro tunnel entrance for the Pakenham and Cranbourne lines. Two trains just past us, Comminge and Extra, because here we are sharing tracks with Pakenham and Cranbourne all the way until Caulfield Station.
Now arriving at Richmond. Change here for Belgrave, Lilydale, Alamein, Glen Waverley services. Richmond. Change here for Belgrave, Lilydale, Alamein, Glen Waverley services. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
Now this Frankston line actually has a 10-minute inter-peak frequency as well, unlike most other lines which are 20, because it through runs with both Williamstown and Werribee lines, which is 2 lines on that side, but then they both go down to Frankston, so then you have a much higher frequency. HCMT there. We do share with the Pakenham Cranbourne lines all the way up until Caulfield Station. And the Frankston train is the stopping train, while the other ones usually skip all the stops in between. Now you might encounter some dodgy characters on Frankston Line, which I think there's already one on the train in the back. It's supposedly the worst line for that in Melbourne. Just like the Armadale line in Perth, I guess. And speaking of Armadale, that's the station in a few stops' time on this line as well.
Now arriving at South Yarra. Change here for Sandringham services. South Yarra. Change here for Sandringham services. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
This station's still quite big. It's got 6 platforms because Sandringham Line's still here as well, but then now we go into just Frankston and Cranbourne Pakenham.
At Hawksburn.
But even though we skip all these stops, I mean Pakenham Cranbourne skips all these stops, it still has platforms for them on those tracks, just like all the triple track sections. The middle track always has platforms as well, which is quite unique for Melbourne. Every track, even if it's mostly almost always an express track, still has a platform available, which really allows for a lot of flexibility if there's an incident to just reroute which track a train will take. Even here you could send the Pakenham Cranbourne trains down this track until very recently, like last year, they removed crossovers closer to Caulfield to go back to the correct lines, and now it's actually completely separated.
This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
It's really crazy how different the passenger announcements are on the different types of trains. I think think the voices are different as well. This doesn't sound the same as the one you hear in the X-Traps. And then on some of them it says that as you're departing every single time, like on this and on the refurbished Commanges. But on the older Commanges, I think, maybe not. Maybe on all Commanges, I forgot. But on the X-Traps it does not say that at all. On the HMTs, it actually says what the next station is as you leave, which is the only train to do that on. So weird how inconsistent and different it all is on the different trains. But yeah, I honestly love the Siemens trains. You get that awesome board up there.
Now arriving at Toorak.
I mean, you also get that on the HCMTs, but on the side and on the refurbished Commanges. But for the Siemens, they all just have that, and they just feel much better. They're a bit newer, you know, and you can walk through the carriages as well.
This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. Armadale.
Here's Armadale. So weird. Green Armadale.
This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
Commange on the Frankston Line.
Malvern.
You would have seen all these stations as we went through them on the Pakenham video. They all look very similar with their brick building design. I mean, basically every station was like this until they started all the level crossing removal projects.
service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. At Caulfield. Change here for East Pakenham, Cranbourne services.
It's really silly there's no comma or just saying and in between that, because it just makes it sound like one place, East Pakenham, Cranbourne, even though it's two separate things. Same when you're going to North Melbourne and it says change for Upfield, Craigieburn. What is that? Why does it say Caulfield Racecourse there? Weird. Did it used to be called that? Maybe I'll put it on the screen.
Caulfield. Change here for East Pakenham, Cranbourne services.
And there's a Laverton service on the other side, which is the stopping Werribee pattern via Altona, then terminating at Laverton.
To Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
Departing Caulfield, the interchange of the Frankston and Pakenham Cranbourne lines. Okay, so here we go. You can see the weather has changed now and the seats are different on this Siemens. This was filmed on the original day I went in the Frankston Line, unlike the first part of the video that I had to film since I went to Caulfield with the V-Line. We are now branching off, as I said, from the Pakenham Cranbourne lines, but here we have 3 tracks system in use as well, just like on the Belgrave Lilydale lines. It's another example of that. The 3-track system, I mean it's actually 4 tracks here, but later it becomes 3, and a lot of level crossing removal stations as well, a lot of sunken ones, but also a lot of elevated ones later, which are very nice next to the water, because the line runs right next to the ocean. So it's a nice spot. Frankston itself
Now arriving at Glen Huntly.
honestly looked like a nice suburb, but I don't like its reputation. And another Glen station, Glen Huntly. There's some trams up here as well, which I obviously went past since I took every tram line. It's route 67, I think. Yep.
This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. Now arriving at Ormond. Ormond. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
A lot of level crossing removal stations here again, and there's a third express track in the middle, like on the Belgrave and Lilydale lines.
Now arriving at McKinnon. McKinnon. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. Now arriving at Bentleigh. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. At Patterson. Patterson. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. At Moorabbin. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. At Highett. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. Arriving at Southland. Southland. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. Now arriving at Cheltenham. Cheltenham. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. at Mentone. Mentone. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
And what does the double do? Oh, yeah, I know. All of those 3 options I could have picked. All of them. All of them. 100%. I just made it up. I said something like so dumb. I said something so dumb. Okay, so judge. They were 100% wrong. I said that. I said that they work with schools and healthcare. And I think that was something from the calling. I said that what do they help? I said they regulate law and crime. They do though. They do, but not the top. I said they manage like. They do manage imports and exports. I said they manage, but they specialize.
Now arriving at Parkdale.
Like the banks. So I put some on the side that said, and then I put above that. Yeah, I said no. I said import. I said they manage imports and exports. They manage trade. That's 2 different ones. 2 different. Whoa. Out of the I don't know if that's
Parkdale. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. arriving at Mordialloc. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
One of the few heritage stations right there. And the rest are all level crossing removed. So far, I mean.
At Aspendale. Aspendale. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. arriving at Edithvale. Edithvale.
Now this this part of the run line we're really running
This
along
is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
along the ocean, like almost parallel, which is so cool. There's not very many spots where you have a line like that. See? Look at that, all the way down. First we came down here and there's like so many stops which are almost all elevated or sunken, grade separated, as you saw, only a few heritage ones, and then you come along the ocean and it's still like that. I saw one heritage one, now that one was sunken. Let's see how the next one is. This line has so much grade separation already. Sorry. Yep, another sunken one. So many of these.
Now arriving at Chelsea. Chelsea. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
You go up to the ground level and then you start going back down like almost immediately. Why can't they just keep it in a trench then?
Now arriving at Bonbeach.
This whole line would be so scenic if it was elevated. With the ocean right there, but no, it's just in a trench.
Bonbeach. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
Oh, there we go. We can see the ocean for a little bit and where that little river enters.
Now arriving at Carrum.
Yes, finally an elevated station. Look at that, finally. What makes them decide if it's worth to put a sunken one or an elevated one? The elevated one looks so much nicer with the ocean view from here. X-trap to Williamstown on the other side. It's like a whole loop of this ocean going down the peninsula on the other side. Well, that's extremely short compared to this distance, but still.
This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. Now arriving at Seaford.
Keeping in theme with the Adelaide announcements, with the Adelaide chime, it's also an Adelaide station and a terminus, in fact, of the Seaford line, which I have filmed before, and now we're at Melbourne Seaford Station. It's so weird, they both have the same thing near the beach. On the line, and Adelaide's not even that far away. Seaford Adelaide, Seaford Melbourne.
Seaford. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston. Arriving at Kananook. Kananook. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
more stabling sidings as usually seen at the terminus. There's a place called Flinders nearby as well, which is also the same as the line that Adelaide spurs
Now
from.
arriving at Frankston. This train will be terminating at Frankston.
So they literally have both of the orange Adelaide train line names here. I mean, this train starts at Flinders Street, but there's another place here called Flinders. It's so weird, they have both. It's actually quite a bit further down, but still. Anyway, here we are at Frankston. The train will now return to either Werribee, Williamstown or Laverton. It through runs like that, that's why it's called the Cross City Group at the moment, but it's all going to change with Metro Tunnel opening. Yep, Laverton for this one. So many stations listed.
Frankston. This train will be terminating at...
Here's just a quick look at the inside of the Siemens, because we haven't done that yet, I think. There's actually a cleaner which gets on at the last stop to get any rubbish off the train, which is pretty good. And here's the map. We've just taken the green line all the way down. Well, as you can see, they come from Werribee and Williamstown and such, but we took it onto the east side of the city down to Frankston. Now here, of course, you can change to the Stony Point line, which is actually what I was trying to do this morning, but I had a bit of a problem, right? I left a little bit too late. I got to Southern Cross and I just missed the train which would connect to the Stony Point train, which was literally the one before this one. And then I kind of cheated and I went on a V line trying to go to Caulfield to get onto this, which is where I took the clip of this train coming into Caulfield then. I shouldn't have gone on the V line, though, you're not allowed to do that. But I still just missed it, so I had to go on the next train. Now I missed the Stony Point, so I can't do it today. I'm gonna have to come back, which kind of ruined my whole plan, but whatever, we'll explore Frankston instead. What the hell is this? It's just white walls. It looks so bad here. Because it's 2 hourly, the Stony Point line. And this is supposedly the Armadale of Melbourne. In fact, there's even a station called Armadale on the Frankston Line, which we passed through in this video. I don't know, I've seen a few undesirable people, but I don't think it's that bad. Yet, at least. I think Stony Point just apart from down here, this very end of the platform, it's actually marked separately as platform 3. So weird. It's pretty much the same platform. And it just left like 5 minutes ago, so I'm not doing it today. I guess the next video will be Stony Point and we'll start right here, but on a different day. For now, I'm just going outside and taking looks here around Frankston. Oh, that's cool. They have bus departure board on this side and then train departure board on the other side. Do not board, 124 minutes. platform 3. That's the Frankston one. I mean the Stony Point one. Why is it do not board? It's just gonna do another service after that, isn't it? I don't know why it's listing that. Anyway, there's quite a few buses here as well. Oh, there's an X-Trap coming in. I guess I'll finish with the shot of that pulling into this platform. Already, yeah, Frankston Line's like 10-minute frequency all day because it connects to 2 lines on the other end of the city. So 2 lines coming to 1 just gives it very high frequency, which is nice. Lots of buses here. There's not really a proper interchange though, it's just on the street. Bye.